Okay, so here is the center section, or the differential, some people call it the pumpkin, out of my 2004 Cobra. And so the cover on the Cobra isn't too bad when you consider this is the stock cover for the solid rear axle. You can see how thin it is. It'll bend as you're removing it and taking it off. This is off of my Mach 1, but that's another story. So basically what I'm showing you today is the IRS brace. That's this more shiny piece here. And so what it's meant to do is right here, this is where the rear diff cover mounts to the IRS subframe, and it has the bolts that go through here and mount to the subframe in the back. And so when the differential is installed, there is support from the back cover to the subframe. This cover, even though it's a little bit better than the flimsy solid rear axle one, still isn't that strong, and you'll see them crack and explode. So here's a picture of a broken diff cover, and you can see that it completely shattered on that mounting point, so that kind of shows the weakness here. And so for rigidity reasons, they've sold what's called the IRS diff brace here. And so basically it's just mounting here and giving it a little bit more structure so that the cover might be able to put up with a little more. The problem is under high power levels and everything, this is kind of controversial whether it's helping stiffen it up or just if it's still going to break anyway. But anyway, very popular aftermarket option is this differential brace, and I'm going to go ahead and remove it just to show you what it looks like. So what you'll need to do if you're putting one of these on is take out the factory 13mm bolts where this one mounts, and then you're going to replace those with the hardware that comes in the kit. With that said, the differential should be sealed pretty well with the factory RTV that they've put on it. But this may also lead to the differential leaking because you're removing all these bolts. You can't just take out one at a time and replace them. So at one point you will have all these bolts, about half of them almost, going around your differential that have been removed so that you could put the cover on. Then you're replacing it with the other hardware. So anyway, it is what it is. Mine was leaking down here, which is why I pulled the differential. I'm upgrading to a Ford Racing diff cover. I'll do a side-by-side comparison on this, but it's a similar setup. It has drain plugs, has a few more plugs. It has some plugs to the side if you want to run cooler, and then it has these that go and give the main caps a little bit more support. And when you tighten them down, you want to be really careful with that. I'll have an install video for this specifically, but you can see this piece is a little more rigid than the factory one, a little thicker. And anyway, but that's what I'm upgrading to. But anyway, on with the brace. I'm going to go ahead and remove this and take it off to show you what it looks like. Okay, so the aftermarket hardware for this is a 12.5/16 socket, so you can see multiple point. You really don't want to strip these out. Make sure that if you're installing one of these that you have the proper socket. Okay, so I just removed all the bolts here, and then there were these bigger 12mm socket ones that obviously are removed because we already took this out. So here's the piece right here. That is what a differential brace is. Just a basically a mirror side of the differential to make it thicker per se, or stronger, more fortified. So that is what a differential brace is. As you can see, all these had been removed in order to install it, and I can't tell or not, but it may be leaking more on this side because of that. So anyway, that's what the differential brace is. While we're on the topic too, this is a vent tube right here. It goes to nowhere. It's just a vent pressure inside here, if you ever wonder what this rubber hose is at the top. So that's the differential brace in a nutshell. Hopefully it was a helpful video for you. If you have a stock setup, it's definitely worth considering, unless you're going to pull the whole differential and install a whole new cover like I'm doing. And stay tuned for those videos. I'll have a playlist to that in the description when they're made. And also I'll put in the description a link where you can buy these parts. One last thing to mention is this diff brace was already on the car when I bought it, and as I was removing the differential, it appeared that you'd be able to just slide this on up in there without having to remove the differential. You'd have to look at the instructions of the one that you're buying and verify that, but it was a tight fit up in there, but it seemed like it would be doable.